Yes. All right. We are here, and I welcome you to the show that is Pound for Pound, the most power packed punch in podcast media, where we bring undeniable value that creates a ripple effect of excellence into your personal, professional, and spiritual life. And boy, I got to tell you guys, I think we're gonna have a story of tragedy to triumph, a story of man, it seems like it's a common story, but it also seems like it's every story that you hear about like this is always so unique and so different and so valuable for those that make it out. And you're going to hear a story from someone who has gone from rock bottom to Ryan Wickline, and that's who my guest is today. Ryan Wickline, how are you, sir? What's going on?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I kind of want to just have, like I said with you earlier, just a truly authentic conversation that, because those are the ones that seem to really reach people the most and help people the most. So take us all back, bro. Before we get into the fall, if you will, of your life, um, tell me about how you grew up. I'm always interested to hear how people who end up in your situation, how they grew up. Was it rough? Was it a great upbringing, great parents? What's going on? What happened?
So I had a pretty rough upbringing. I mean, had a great mom. I was a child of divorce. My parents got divorced when I was a little kid. I don't even think I was 1 year old when they separated. So I
Mm.
was like around there. So my mom went one way, my dad went the other, and I went with my mom because I was a baby still. And we moved away from where my dad was. I mean, eventually she got remarried. My dad got remarried, and like what can I say? I mean, my mom loved me. I mean, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm still very close to my mom. But my stepdad, like, the only thing I can say about him, he taught me about work ethic and responsibility. And he took the job of my dad, which he never had to do. So he stepped up there. But as far as showing love or anything, I think I was always had that a need to fill that daddy void in my heart, because I never
Mm.
had a male role model growing up. My role models growing up were my two older brothers.
Okay.
I said eventually stopped going to see my dad, probably when I was in fourth, fifth grade, because me and his wife did not get along. She was a bad person.
Mm. So do you have a good relationship with your dad these days?
He died probably
Oh.
around 10 years ago, died of cancer.
Mm.
So I got to spend his last day on earth with him. And
That
I'm
man.
truly grateful for that. I mean, and
Yeah.
that sent me down a pretty bad downward spiral because I knew that there was never going to be reconciliation between us. I
Mm.
still loved him. He was my dad and I loved him,
Yeah.
but he had a good relationship with my two brothers. And I felt like at times I kind of probably inside asked myself, and why did he love me like that? Why did he want
Mm.
a relationship with like me like that? I just always wondered what was wrong with me that I'm not good enough to be. You don't want a relationship like that with me. And it was
Yeah.
never nothing against me. Just he didn't have the tools that he needed to raise us like that.
Yeah. So so have you come to terms, man, with like not having that closure, not having those answers?
Yeah, I did kind of get closure at one point. So when I started my own wrestling academy and I was out fundraising and stuff, I went to a place that he in his hometown because I knew they would support what I was doing. And the guy in there knew my dad, and he knew my last name, and we were talking, and he told me, he goes, "Your dad was always talking about you three boys and how good of coaches you were and how involved in helping kids you were." He goes, "He was very proud of you. He
Mm.
might not have told you that, but he was proud of you and talked you guys up a lot." And that kind of gave me like, oh, see, he was actually proud of us. He just never expressed it.
Right.
Like I said, that made me kind of forgive him in a lot of ways. Like, yeah, he just didn't have the tools, and God was kind of showing me he just didn't have the tools, and he wasn't where he needed to be to help you.
Mhm.
It didn't mean he didn't love you. It just he doesn't have those. You what you need is I give you, not him.
Right. Yeah, that's, man, and as I hear you speak that, as I hear you talk about what that gentleman said to you, man, I think even just a few years ago, I probably wouldn't have recognized it, but I think I think you're right, man. I think that was God sending you the closure you needed through
Yeah,
that other person. Yeah.
because there was a lot of hurt. I mean, like when I was getting sober, I mean that that was one of the things holding me back was I was mad. Like, why didn't he love me? And there was parts of me like, why couldn't I, God? Why couldn't I had a good two-parent household where the mother and dad loved each other and we were actually a family, and I felt like I
Mm,
had the support I needed to thrive in everything, you know? Could that have set me down a different path? Why couldn't my life be easier like than some of these other people? You know,
right,
like why do you have to make my life extremely hard all the time? You know, those questions, you know.
right.
But he gave me a lot of answers down going down that road, you know, that I needed to be hard on you. That's the only way you'll learn and grow.
Mm. So, okay, so it sounds like the death of your father kind of kickstarted your drug career, if I may put it that way. Um,
No, they kickstarted with the death of my grandma when I was
okay,
18, but that that one kind of sent it. This one, my death of my dad, kind of spent me in a cycle that was going to end up leading me to getting clean and sober, though.
okay. So I want to go back to the death of your grandma and like, so that was what sent you down the wrong path. Can you tell me, like, get deep into that, bro. And the reason I ask, and forgive me, but um, I just, for whatever reason, I feel that there's immense value in helping other people recognize the starting point of something bad. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, recognizing
you
patterns.
right. Well, yeah, patterns and whatever else. I mean, maybe they will remember this and say, okay, well, this is happening to me right now, and maybe proactively prevent themselves from going down the path of destruction. So,
Okay. So,
yeah, so please tell me about what happened after your grandma died and how that sent you there.
so it was happened when I was 18. When I was 18, I was in my first year of college down in Ohio State. I mean, I had a full academic scholarship.
Oh, wow.
Took I took that path instead of going this athletic route. You know, I had chances to take a couple athletic scholarships if I wanted them, but I chose the academic route. Um, my first year there, found out she had cancer. I mean, I was very, very close with my grandma. I mean,
Mm,
she was like a second mom to me. You know,
yeah.
very close with her, loved her with all my heart. So once I found that out, I knew situation wasn't looking good. You know, especially back in what this was 2000. Not too many
Mm,
people lived when they were diagnosed with cancer, you know, back then. Especially people that I knew. Everybody that was diagnosed with cancer died.
mm,
So it was one of those things, and it was like, man. So instead of I didn't have the tools I needed to deal with problems at the time. So the way I dealt with problems was I drank and I started using drugs to deal with to mask all the pain. I mean, I just completely wanted to mask all the pain I had. And I just started going off on that end, started snorting cocaine, doing ecstasy, acid, mushrooms, anything I can get my hands on, pretty much. I mean, all along those lines of the upper stuff. I wanted something to just keep me going and just mask the pain. I
mm.
mean, around that time I started selling drugs too. So
Wow. Okay, man, it's always fascinating, like what the things we turn to, right? The things we turn to when we want to avoid feeling the pain mentally, physically. It's just, it just seems like it's always the same stuff, right? Alcohol, drugs. Yeah, you know. sex, whatever it might be, you know? And I think, bro, I'm curious, like, what, having gone through it, man, what do you think, like, what makes people choose one of those few things? What made you choose, "Hey, I'm gonna go to the drug route," you know?
I don't I think it's kinda just society, the way everything was. I mean, that said, pain and suffering's bad.
Right,
You know,
right.
pain and suffering's bad, you know? And I always had friends growing up, like, we had problems, they're like, "Oh, we don't have to deal with it, we'll just drink." You know, so
Mm,
that became like, "Oh, instead of worrying about it, let's just go get drunk. Drink the pain away, you know? Drink to forget
wow,
it stuff, you know?"
right,
Things like that. I mean, and like I said, like, I didn't have the family, like, we didn't talk about problems growing up. We just were taught to bottle everything up and just kinda avoid stuff. Well, looking back now, I know that that's not the way to deal with anything. I mean, you can't just bury all your feelings and emotions down and expect you not to just explode at some point. And that's
mhm.
kinda what I became, was like a ticking time bomb, and that's all I was tick, 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 as every year as I was just getting high and drinking was just a bomb ready to explode on everybody.
Man, dude, you said something that kinda made me think, and you said, "We've been trained that to believe that pain and suffering is bad." And I get it, right? If something is physically painful, of course, it's not great, you don't wanna feel that. But I think we're talking about the emotional, mental pain of just going through problems and encountering barriers and whatever the case may be. But that hit me, bro, because you said pain and suffering is bad. We've been trained to think that it's bad. I guess I would love for us to help people kind of flip that script a little bit. You know what I mean? When they encounter pain and suffering, yeah, someone dies, of course, it's painful, right? Your grandmother died. It was painful. It was a severe loss. You know what I mean? Um, but I guess I'm trying to ask you to help me in helping people turn that around quickly when they encounter pain, suffering, blockers, barriers from things that we want or things that we are out of our control. Or do you see where I'm going with that?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, my boss told me no, I can't have the promotion. Okay, big deal in the grand scheme of life. Who cares? Like that's how I look. That's how I would look at it. But most people don't do that. You know, like how can we help people turn that around when things happen?
I mean, it's a lot of it's just having trust, you
In
know,
what?
like trusting God that his
Mm,
plan and purpose is bigger than ours. I mean, that no right then and there doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It means you might just have to work a little bit harder. And that's one thing that one tool I was given was the resilience thing. Was I'm very resilient and everything. So that was one virtue that I have been blessed with. Some of the other stuff, not so much, but, like, being very, very resilient and
mm,
in the face of adversity, I
yeah,
will keep fighting for something if I want that, you know? Like, kind of the best advice I could give somebody, if you feel in your heart that that's what's meant for you, fight for it. Fight
right.
for it. Like, dealing with the death of a loved one, things that are outside of our control, that's a lot of trust, like, right there. Like, that was one thing that I struggled with. And later on, like when I lost one of my best friends to cancer, my other good friend to suicide, I turned straight to God. And I mean, I went in prayer and I gave like everything to him. Like I spent so much time in prayer.
Mm,
Like I turned to him so much to get through that, and he helped me. Like something that would normally have knocked me out and
right.
would have sent me down the path for destruction, drinking, using drugs. I used and just grew because I turned to him so much and I trust him. And what I would do, I would pray for my friends. I mean, even after their death, because God's outside of time, you know,
Mhm.
there's no time in eternity. Time's only here on earth. So what we can still pray our prayers for them now is what I've been taught. Our prayers for them now still go to when they were living. So if we keep praying for them, you never know at their death, he might have saved them.
Mhm.
It's we don't know that. I mean, so doing that, a lot of that, and just forgiving and knowing that, hey, one day, maybe if I want to see them again in heaven, I got to do what's right here. So
Mhm.
that's kind of what helped me with death and everything. The other stuff like being said no to, I mean, I would just suggest if you believe that in your heart, that's what you want to do, and that's what you're called to do. Go fight for it.
Yeah, yeah, it's, yeah, I think people do give up way too easily in everyday life. Um, you know, man, sorry for the pause. I just yeah. I, I lost a I lost a very dear friend, growing up, a best friend, and, I mean, we were really close. You know how it is I mean, we met in junior high, and then, he passed in our 20s, our early 20s, I think, or no, it was young. I was younger than that, but anyway, um, and he did something that I will never understand. I will never understand why he took his own life, especially the way he did, um, over problems with his girlfriend, and, they had a child, and lot of unanswered questions, man. A lot of unanswered questions, and I think I could have allowed myself to really get caught up in that all these years, because sometimes the lack of answer causes problems for people, and it causes people to go down a different path, right? Um, and I think you're absolutely right. I think we have to trust that God knows it all. He has the answers, and whether we are given the answers or not, it has to be okay. We have to trust that it's okay that we don't have the answers. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I think I just think people need to. I don't know, man. Sorry, I'm getting a little because a little emotional. You think about our
Yeah.
friends after so many years, and it just kind of just hits you again, and it's tough. So I'm sorry. But yeah, man, I just wonder. hmm, You're gonna have to forgive me, bro. I'm so sorry. It's been a while. It's been a while. I'm sorry. Um, so let's talk. Let's talk about the path you went down and what it was like after your grandma passed. What did you end up doing? I know you said you tried all kinds of different drugs and everything else. How bad did it get?
It was bad. I mean,
That's-
I got a picture. I got a picture of like coming home for a Christmas, and this was the last photo taken of our family together with my grandma, of the three of us boys and my oldest brother's family. And you could see in my eyes, I was just messed up. I mean, I was a train
wow.
wreck. I barely went to class. I was still passing. I don't know how, but I mean, life became about using drugs, and that was it. It was bad. I mean, it led me to I ended up having to leave Columbus. I was such a mess. I was like, I got to get out of here. I mean, my life was just in chaos. I didn't know what I wanted to do, like, and I was no good to where I was. I mean, and I needed that shift, so I came back home and I started working, and that gave me a little bit of, help, but it just gave me money to go buy stuff still. And
Right.
I was around I was around the wrong people still, because even though, I was my own worst problem, I still had friends that like to use and everything. And I met a girl and she'd like to use, and we were bad. It was still bad. I mean, like my family, when I came back, like they were just like, "Oh man, what are you doing?" And they knew I was messed up, but they didn't. I wouldn't admit to it because I wasn't ready to admit that I had a problem yet. So I
Yeah.
didn't like lie about it. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, but they knew. Trying to hide it as best I could, but everybody knew.
Right. Yeah,
So,
everybody knew.
like I said, everything revolved around drinking, snorting cocaine, pretty much, and running with fast women and using them as my personal amusement. As my play toys. So right there's sex, drugs, and alcohol. Pretty much what my life
And
revolved around
rock
at
and roll in
working.
the background, huh?
Yeah, pretty much rock and roll in the background.
Oh, man. So, okay. So how long were you addicted for during this first run?
So I'd say probably about 17, 18 years.
Wow.
Probably even more than that. I mean, because, well, I started using cocaine when I was 18, but drinking, like, the active addiction probably started when I was 18. Went to sometime in my, like, 36, somewhere around there, 36, 37. So 18 years.
Wow. That is a
Yeah.
long time, dude. That is a long time.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. Wow. I mean, dude, how did I mean, what was your daily life like, man? Like, I mean, did you work? Did you have a job? Were you just
Yeah.
selling to make to
No, I
I
said I
mean,
worked. So I worked in a factory when I first came back from college, and worked like 60 hours a week sometimes, doing 512s.
wow.
I mean, was just I won the overtime money. I mean, I always had the work ethic part and everything, and a lot of times I would just drink and party during my days off on the weekends, And
Wow.
but when I did it, I went big. So, and then eventually left that factory life and started doing construction, and I loved it. Masonry, I did start doing masonry work, and it felt like I was back in, like, I used to wrestle in high school, and it felt like I was back at wrestling practice. It was a competition to see how far I could push my body, and I got really good at that trade. I mean, being a laborer, building scaffolding, and all that stuff. I mean, I loved it. I felt like I was competing against the next guy beside me, of who was mentally tougher and who could push their body past their breaking point. Said things I was good at. That part I was good at. The mental part of the pain in my own head, a lot of times I couldn't deal with, but pushing my body through the pain, I could easily do that. I
Wow.
mean, so, and eventually I met a girl. I mean, and like I cleaned up for a little bit here and there, but like I still would play on the weekends and hide it from people. So I wasn't like, there'd be points and peaks and valleys where I'd be like really bad. And then there'd be times I could like really hide it if I needed to, and kind of play, wear that mask where I'm kind of, people don't know except my true friends who I'm partying with.
Right. Isn't it funny? It's amazing. You sparked a thought that addicts always hide it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They always hide it. And I guess it's interesting because, like, if you are going through that much trouble to hide it, how do you not recognize that what you're hiding is the problem?
Yeah. I mean, you're living
You
a
know what I'm
lie.
saying?
I mean, you're living a lie. I mean, and that's right there. You're lying to yourself about what you're doing, and it's bad. I mean, you can't be two different
Yeah.
people. because
Right.
one side's gonna come out victorious in the end.
Wow. That's right. That's right. You're gonna serve somebody, right? You're gonna serve something. Um, so bro, how did you like I'm curious, how did you if okay, Friday, the proverbial bell goes off, you're off work, then probably in your mind it's like it's time to party, right?
Yeah.
Like all weekend long. How did you recover enough to get back to work on time on Monday?
So, like, I would party, like, for 2 days, and then that last day, it'd be my recovery day. So, I'd probably sleep most of the day Sunday. Like, sleep all day Sunday,
Wow.
and that's what
So
I would
you
do, but then from Friday to Sunday, like, early morning Sunday, I'd go to bed, like, maybe 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, and then just sleep that day, and then Monday ready to go, and, like, Monday, I would probably wouldn't be very good, a lot of times. Or, I'd pick up my paycheck from the office on a Thursday night, and I'd start that night. And sometimes I'd miss work Friday. Later on, I'd start missing a lot of work on that Friday because I was just such a mess. But there's other times like where I'd just party and stay up and make it to work and then come, then sleep that Friday away, then wake up Saturday and go again.
wow.
So, I mean, I was in a cycle. I mean, it was a cycle that I had down to a T that my body just got used to it for a while, that it was
Wow.
bad. Like,
Wow, dude.
disappeared. Like, the one relationship I was in, we had to end it because I was disappearing. It's like nobody knew where I was at.
Yeah, girls usually don't like that, man. When you just disappear and they can't find you and
Yeah, they
you
knew
don't
what
call
was
them
going
back.
on.
They usually don't like that very much. Um,
No.
okay, so it sounds, bro. It sounds like you like because the normal story is, of course, this story, but then it's like, okay, they start missing work right away. They start slacking off right away, and like they start losing the job, and the downward spiral goes just quickly, right? But yours just seems to have been delayed. I was waiting to hear from you if you actually started doing that stuff later on, if that started happening to you later on.
So, like, maybe eventually, I mean, I lost my job at a couple places. I mean, when I got addicted to methamphetamines, and then my
Oh
body
man, tell
started
me about
breaking
that, dude.
down. So that
Tell me
happened
about that.
when my dad died. So my dad died, and I did well. Like, he died in November on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving of that year. I can't remember the year, but me and my brothers were all coaching wrestling together at the time, and I held it together through wrestling season. And that spring came after the season, and I was at a friend's house drinking, and he introduced me to meth. And wow, I that drug just grabbed a hold of me. It was like cocaine, but stronger. And I loved the feeling I got from them uppers, which I don't understand why, because I'm naturally a high strung person. I think it mellows me out a little bit more. But like that meth, like within 2 months, it grabbed a hold of me where I was dropped from like 185. My weight was like 185, 175, somewhere around there. I lost 30 some pounds, was down like 140 in like 2 or 3 months
Wow.
when I first started using them. So like I would get these, like, I got at work, I was trying to push myself like I normally would, and my body started breaking down. So, and these guys, I was so good at what I did, that I didn't mind pushing myself. Yeah, give me more work. I'll show you guys, but eventually your body catches up with you a little bit, telling you, man, you're neglecting me so much and putting all them chemicals in me and not fueling me the right way and taking care of me. I'm going to break down on you. So,
Oh
like, I
man.
lost my one job because my back started breaking down, and they gave me the time off. Like, and I came back and I was just like, after a week and a half off, I went back there, tried to go back to work. I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I'd just rather party and use drugs. So I like seeing, oh man, if I don't have a job, I'm not gonna be able to pay my bills. So I went and got another construction job, and I lasted, a little bit, but I mean, I was so strung out on drugs, dealing with the problems with my girlfriend at that time, a different girl, and like we were so toxic together, and we were just so strung out that wow, I mean, I don't know. I ended up losing the job because I wasn't reliable enough. I wasn't making it there all the time.
Mhm.
But there for a like short window was when I was very unreliable. So I'd say maybe like maybe less than a year of that time that like I'd lost a couple jobs. But like after that, I went to a rehab facility, came back and went back to work, and I was working with my brother and stuff on this this for this construction company I work for a lot. They took me back in, and I was all in my height of my addiction to methamphetamine, and I was going to work and just using almost every day,
Wow.
using meth every day, just even to make it through work. But I was there all the time, and outworked everybody, all methed out of my mind. So I mean, there's
Man.
probably a
Dude.
short window where I couldn't hold a job.
Mhm. Okay, dude, so tell me okay, I'm just curious because I mean, we all have our vices, but drugs was never one of mine. I mean, I've never smoked a cigarette, much less weed. I've none of the rest either, no coke, no anything. I've never tried any of that stuff. But from what I hear about meth, it's pretty brutal, you know? But tell me about what it's like, dude. What is it like being on meth? What does it do for you?
Uh, it keeps you awake, and like at first, it gave me focus. Like, kept me
Oh,
awake and
okay.
focused. I can't just the euphoria it gave me, like, all it does is release a bunch of serotonin, which makes you happy and all that stuff, but, and it would keep you going for, like, 2, 3 days straight.
Wow.
Like, I could keep going. Like, normally Coke, I get, like, an 8 ball of cocaine, and I can be out of that within a couple hours. For me, it was going in a couple hours because I just used that much and was just chasing that first high, that first line. Meth, I mean, I get an 8 ball and that lasts me over like almost a week because there was just a couple bumps here and there, and it just give me focus and energy, and just whoop, there I went off to the races.
Wow.
It was just the coming
Wow.
down part. Like I remember coming down a couple times off of it, and like it was giving my body pain. Like it giving me toothaches, giving my body like shooting pains in my like stomach and everything, where it felt like my stomach was going to explode. Like getting that sick off of it. I mean, it was bad.
Mm, wow. So what's okay, and again, I'm just ignorant on this stuff, bro. Like what form is meth come in? How do you use it?
So most people like I was weird. I snorted it, and most people said couldn't snort it because it burns. It just gives you this burning sensation. So other people smoke it, and I've watched people inject it like they were doing heroin. I'm like, yeah, me and needles, no. So I mean, I stayed away from stuff like that. But a lot of people's just smoking it, and I like snorting it. It gets there straight up there, and just and it gives me that buzz right away, and I'm whoop, off to the races I go.
Wow. Wow, dude. That's crazy. So you're literally just hyper focused, alert, like just can tackle anything for 2, 3 days straight.
Yeah. Yeah, but just
No sleep.
focus. I mean, you get lost in focus. I mean, it's crazy. You'll like I started doing all these odd projects, like at points, at times. I just started like, oh, I'm gonna do this, start painting rocks and everything, doing designs on rocks and everything, and had fun with it. It was just like doing all kinds of crazy
Right.
stuff, and like and you're just focused on that. Oh, that's what I want to do, and you just become focused on it. Like I
Wow.
really got in touch with a lot of my artistic side during that time.
Wow, I bet you did. So it's so you get so like okay, so you're saying you'd be going for 2 to 3 days straight, no sleep.
Yeah.
And you can get
Like,
a lot
you
done
made
in
me go to
72
sleep.
hours, man.
Yeah, there's a so a lot of times I'd maybe go to sleep for 3, 4 hours in a night, just so I could recharge to go to work, and then I'd wake up, do a line, and
Yeah,
be ready to go again. Just to give my body a little bit of time to recharge. Other times I wouldn't go to sleep, but I tried to get at least a couple, like 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night just because I knew I needed some sort of sleep for my body, especially doing construction. We're out in the winter
yeah.
some of them times, I mean, where it's cold and your body, you do need to recover a little bit. I'd wake up, eat something a little bit here, eat on the way to work, and do a couple lines, and then a lot of times I was doing line or snorting meth in the back porta john, to make it
Mhm.
through the day. Instead, just like a bump here after break, whoop, after lunch, whoop, there you go. I'm good to go. Like just to stay focused on what I need to do.
Wow. Yeah, so in listening to you, man, it sounds like hmm, so your grandma dies, you go bad. Let's call it going bad, right? You break bad, and then your father passes, and you break even badder, right? Getting into new stuff. So it seems I don't know, bro. Like it seems like you really have a hard time with death.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, you cut it out on me.
Oh, no worries. I just said it seems like you have a hard time with death.
Yeah. Control,
Yeah.
being out of control, losing stuff. Yeah. That was
Yeah.
one of my biggest weaknesses. So
So how have you I mean, it's gonna happen, dude. It's gonna happen to all of us. How you gonna handle it now?
I'm like, I'm pretty confident that, like, when I got clean and sober, I started focusing on a lot of my weaknesses. So, like I said before, I was probably maybe 4 or 5 months clean when my best friend died of cancer, brain cancer.
Mm,
Uh, and his like when I found out he was diagnosed, I relapsed that weekend. That was the last relapse I've ever had. And going to his funeral was tough as during COVID and everything. And
yeah.
I went with his cousin, one of my good friends, and they were drinking. And I knew this was going to be a test.
Mm, mhm.
I'm just barely on the fringe of being clean. Just made it like the longest I'd been clean since I was like a little kid in my early teenage years. So I knew this was going to be a challenge, and like I'm going to deal with something that I'm not very good at. So like, Lord, give me
Right.
the strength, Lord. But I felt like I was supposed to be there. God telling me you're supposed to be there. Knowing in your heart this is what you have to do. But I made it through, and um, then eventually the friend I went with to the funeral, he committed suicide, and I knew him since we were like in kindergarten, first grade. We were in the same class together. Birthday 2 days apart. We were like really best friends. Grew
Mm,
up like, and he ended up committing suicide. Wasn't going down that path I was down already. And we had talks about what I'd went through and everything. And after a little bit, it hurt. Was like, Ryan, you could have did more to save him.
mm,
You could have did more, could have been there more for him. But that was just my own. But God's like, you this just shows you need to be there more for your friends. You need to be around more for them when they need you. You can't just focus on yourself and what you're chasing at time. You need to take time at some points to go around and be with them and spend time with them, love on them, know that let them know that you care about them and are there for them no matter what. So I started doing that a little bit more, and I was in college at the time too. I went back to school to get my degree because I didn't finish. And one of the classes I took was called Death and Dying.
Mm.
And I took classes that were going to stretch me. And the reason I took that class was that was my biggest weakness.
Mm.
Guess what? I need to deal with it. And I was like, I got problems and weaknesses. I need to go fix them or else I'm going to get exploited. So it was funny. One of our assignments was we had to go to a cemetery and go find certain uh, things that you've seen in a cemetery, go find and then discuss it in the paper. And my brother called me and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm here at the cemetery doing something for class." He goes, like, "What?"
Class you
He's like,
taking, dude.
he's like, "It's hearing about the class I'm taking." He's like, he goes, eventually he came out and told me, he goes, "When you told me you were taking that class and where you were," he goes, "I knew you were going to get clean."
Mhm.
Because I think around that time I was maybe a year or so. He goes, "I knew I want that you're on the right track." He goes, "When you told me that was one of the classes you're taking, because that's one of your weaknesses, and you're not scared of this stuff,
Mhm.
that that gave me a lot more confidence too, that I knew I was on the right track." Like I said, during all those times, I mean, like I said earlier, I gave a lot of what I was going through to God. And I mean, I turned to
Mhm.
him. And when the pain would start and I was thinking about it, yeah, I miss these guys. I love them. Like, I still go out to the cemetery and visit my one friend that died of cancer maybe once a month. I remember, and I moved to Tennessee for a year. And when I came back, I was out there and some girl called me that I was friends with. And we were talking. She's like, I told her, "Yeah, I just left the cemetery." And she knew the guy. He's like, "What are you doing out there?" And I mean, it was like midnight, and I was out there just sitting out there in a quiet spot talking with him. I still do that, letting them know that I'm
Mhm.
still there and I care about them. I mean, so I don't try to run and hide from things like that. Yeah, I'm going to show my emotions and care for these people because I believe they're in heaven. Especially after all the prayers and sacrifices I've made for some of them, I'm hoping that God answered and was like, "Here, you know, I'm gonna step in for you and make sure that they made it for you, you know?
Yeah, I hope that, I don't know, man. I hope that I don't know. You never that's there's always a question of that gets asked. I've heard it get asked is like, well, are they in heaven? Blah blah blah. And the truth is, as far as I can tell, I mean, the truth is we don't really know. I mean, it's like if you do we know in their last moments if they gave their life to Christ? I don't know. You know what I
We
mean?
don't.
Like I don't know if they did or not. I hope they did. Um, and meant it and all that good stuff. I mean, it reminds those situations remind me of the thief on the cross, bro. You know what I mean? Same thing.
Yeah.
Like lived a life of, a degenerate, and then at the very last moment and his heart was pure and asked to be forgiven, and that's all it took, you know?
Like,
So,
I've heard stories of people who, like, crossed over and, like, had
mhm,
them near-death experiences, almost died, and Jesus came to them, like, as they were
mhm,
losing it and was like, "Your choice, me, heaven or hell," you know? So,
right,
you get that choice there at the end, some people get that grace to get that choice at the end. Where they can
mhm,
kinda say, "Hey, I wanna come with you," or, "No, I don't," choose wisely, so that's what I said, that we shouldn't be putting no restrictions on God or anything, and because there's no time in heaven, and he's not construed by time, so he can sit there and give graces for our prayers right now for them when they died, because if he chooses, he can do that. Who am I
yeah,
to say, "No, don't you can't do that," you know? Like, if I'm gonna
right,
pray because I know you can do it, help them, give them that grace,
yeah,
and we don't know. I mean, so that's why I said, like, I would still suggest if you have a family member that you don't know was was saved, pray for them. because you don't know what God could do with some of them prayers for when they died, even if it was like 20 years ago. We don't know.
Mm.
And wouldn't that
Yeah,
make you feel amazing? Like you get to heaven and they're waiting there, like your prayers stepped in and gave God gave me the graces because of your prayers for me. You know, it's like,
yeah,
huh?
yeah. I don't know, man. From my understanding is that like we have the choice while we're here. You have you're listening. You have a choice today. I mean, you do. You have that choice today while you're alive. You still have that choice, and um, I hope people make the right one after hearing your story, bro. Because we haven't even gotten to um how you got on your path to your relationship with God, and I think that's a good place to go because you just you've mentioned it a few different times, and I'm curious as to how you got clean and how you decided, how you made your decision to follow Christ.
Well, it started. This past started when I went to a rehab facility. So, like, the story begins by I was all messed up, just lost my apartment. Me and my girlfriend at the time were kicked out. We were homeless.
Mm,
That was one of the times I stopped working,
yep.
and we were sleeping in my friend's couch. And she was a drug dealer. This friend was a drug dealer too, so not a good place for us to go.
Right.
And I went home to my mom's house to grab something. I left some medication there that I have. And my little nephew was there. And he said, Uncle Ryan, you came home. I missed you.
Mm,
Uncle Ryan, you came home to us and came home to me. Like, and that,
wow.
like, listen to this little boy say that to me. I felt like this big. I felt like
Wow. Yeah.
a total pile of garbage, you know?
Yeah.
Like, looking at where I was at in life, like, what am I doing? You know, I didn't make the change right away, but that happened on a Friday, like morning. By that Sunday, I was ready to go to a rehab facility. So went to my mom and them, said, I need help. I'm ready to go.
Mm,
And it took a couple days to get me in, but they got me into a place. So I went to that facility for 14 days. Not very long, but I had left a girlfriend and she was kind of running amok on the streets and was blaming me for her not having a house and all that and place to go. And I was trying to explain to her, you know, I have the money for us to get a place. The only problem is if I get us a place now and I'm not where I need to be, all we're going to do is get a place. We're just going to keep it for a month and then lose it because I wasn't in the right place or the right state of mind to keep a job or hold a job down. I knew that, you know.
mm,
So I checked myself out of that rehab facility, but while I was in that rehab facility, we started doing a thing called Celebrate Recovery. And we only did it a couple times, 3 times maybe in the 14 days I was in there. But we started reading the steps, which is kind of like the Alcohol Anonymous steps. So all the steps are based off Bible verses. So we started reading the Bible verses,
mm,
which were actually these steps. And it was the only time in my that my heart felt pure. So my heart
mm,
felt pure after reading these things. So I didn't know what that meant, you know. I'd always
mhm,
believed in God, you know, because I grew up going to church every Sunday and
mhm,
did some of the stuff, but you know, I always believed in God, but those steps made my heart feel pure. And at that time I didn't know what they meant. Now I know that he was calling me, that he was slowly calling me to, you know, working his way into my heart like, hey, see, I'm here. You say you believe in me, let me in, you know? And so I checked out that facility, not knowing what anything was. And within 2 weeks, I relapsed again. and got us a place. Relapse was working. Moved some drug dealers into my house again, but I was going to work every weekend. I was going to work every day, and I was good. Well, me and my girlfriend at the time, who we weren't very good with each other, we got in an argument, and hands were both put on each other by both of us. I mean, so I got in trouble for domestic violence. She got in trouble for stuff too, and there's a no contact order put in place on us. And during that time, she ended up coming back, and I had a warrant issued for my arrest for they said I didn't show up to court or something like that, or it was one of those things, or so
Mhm.
I had to go to jail, and she got taken to jail at the same time for stuff. Well, while I was in jail, I knew that if me and her wanted to be together, I had to get clean. I knew my way wasn't working, so I went the other route, and I was on work release. I started doing they had a sober recovery in there. I went to that, started going to church, doing Bible studies.
Mm.
So, and I started diving in a little bit, dabbling, trying to learn. It's like, hey, my way's not working. Maybe this is the way to go. You
Wow.
know, it's like, what do I have to lose? And I knew God. It was God leading me. He put me there to lead me here. Like he made
Yeah.
all that happen so I could go through all that stuff to put me in that position. And so when I was released from jail, I relapsed that same day I got out. And the only bright side was that I started going to recovery meetings. I told my mom, "Hey, make me go to these meetings," and she'd pick me up and take me home. To make sure I went.
Mhm.
So I started going to these celebrate recovery meetings outside of jail, and I just started showing up. Like, I was using when I first got there. I mean, I was using, but I was going, you know?
Right.
I just hadn't like, "Hey, I'm just gonna try. Even though I'm not where I need to be, I'm going to step out of my comfort zone and just show up here."
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie to anybody. I think everybody knew I used to wear my hood up and sit quietly, and people were like, but I looked at a lot of the people. They had, like, smiles on their faces, they were happy. A guy that I used to use with, he was the one of the first faces I seen. I'm like, "What is this, some sort of joke or something?" You know?
Mm.
But
Mhm.
he he was there, big smile on his face, happy. I mean, and me and him have talked, and now he's like an alcohol and drug counselor. He's talking about being a minister. And like, people don't understand, me and him used to use together. And I'm so
Yeah.
happy for him. I mean, he got a powerful testimony too. I mean, he's a great guy. Um, so I just kept showing up. I mean, and eventually I felt God at work. Like, he broke me and showed me that, hey, you can't be using and doing this. He broke me. Like, I I was a mess, like, going to work every day, dealing with the problems of, like, the big psychological problem. I lost my girlfriend. She was in jail. I could do nothing about it. There was a no contact order. She was sitting in jail blaming me for the reason she was in there.
Mhm.
So I felt like this
Mm.
big. Like, I mean, I was a time bomb. I didn't know what to do. So eventually I reached out to a guy who from one of the meetings, and he met up with me, and we started talking about where my problem stemmed from. And it all stemmed, like, from my grandma. When I started using, heavily like that, and it became a habit dealing with stuff. And he's talking about God and Jesus. And but and I accepted God into my life that day, like, for real, like, asked him truly
Mhm.
into my heart. And I wish I could say, yeah, oh, from that moment I was just right as
Right.
rain, and like,
Yep.
everything's perfect. No, it wasn't. Like, my life was still a mess. I mean, He had me, but he took me under his wing a little bit and like had me start doing a step study is what they call, which is like the heart of what everything they do. So it's like diving into the steps and just doing each step one on one, you know. So I was starting out behind where everybody else was. Well, guess what? Along that time, I ended up taking a layoff from work because that environment was no good for me. I found out that environment was not good to what for my soul.
Mhm.
I was fighting with my brother, watching him and another guy I rode to work with. They were so negative and complaining. Middle of winter, freezing, you know, like 0 degrees weather here in Ohio, and I'm outside working in it while everybody else is like in a tent staying warmer inside the building. But I'm outside, you know, the building. Like, no, like I'm doing all this for everybody else. Like this isn't what I'm called to do anymore. So I remember
Mm.
there's a big fight between me and my brother, even because I decided to walk away. I told my mom, I was like, I can't do it. Everybody wants me to get clean. Guess what? I can't do it in that environment. I need to walk away. And
Mhm.
she agreed with me, you know, she was supportive, you know. So I called one of the bosses and told him, you know, what I need to do. And he goes, Ryan, you go take care of yourself, take a layoff from work, you'll get unemployment, you'll be good. We got you covered. We got your back, you know. And I mean, good people because they knew
Mhm.
what I was going through, and I had the work ethic. They knew that if I need to, I'd come back, and they'd always hire me back because I had the work ethic part, you know. And I was just, I'd be
Mhm.
there. But my brother, like, he didn't believe. He's like, "The only reason you're taking a layoff is because you want to go get messed up more. You're never going to get clean." And I
Right.
heard this from so many people. You're never going to get clean. And I'm just like, man. So from that point, all I did was go meet with that guy and discuss stuff, do step studies, and I'd read the Bible. So I
Mm.
disappeared on everybody for months, and I was just diving into the Bible. And
You
every
disappeared
morning
again.
I was going I was going to mass every morning. So daily mass at the Catholic Church. I mean, I started going,
Mm.
I dove back into my Catholic faith. And I mean, I went to mass, was walking like um around a mile a day out in the snow because I didn't have my license. I
Mhm.
mean, so like 6 something in the morning, you see me walking to mass,
Wow.
you know. And I found out later, some people see me, they thought I was all messed up walking around town, you know, like no, like no, I was actually trying to get be good and work stuff out. So like I started diving in, and like slowly but surely, I started coming out of everything, you know, like. And it was kind of quick. Like I remember the one guy who I asked to be my sponsor there was me and him were talking, and he goes, "Man," he goes, he was like he missed a couple weeks because he was out of town for business. He came back and he's like, "Holy cow!" He goes, "You're the same person. You got a smile on your face too. You're happy, and you don't have the hood up. You don't have that cloud
Mhm.
of darkness around you." Like so, I felt good. Like that, knew I was doing what was right and everything. So that's like
Mhm.
my first where I started diving in real deep and everything. And that was kind of a turning point. But like I said, I ended up relapsing one last time before I actually got clean again. You know, I mean, but that's pretty much how I started. I mean, kind of crazy, like how he was calling me and led me slowly but surely. You know,
Right. So you got so you relapsed one more time, right? Um, and that was the last time.
yep,
Okay. So, wow, dude. I mean, that sounds like a freaking roller coaster, man. Like
yeah,
that sounds like a wild ride, bro. Um, do you do you believe in like demons, angels and demons?
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I was showed kind of a lot of this stuff when I relapsed. Uh, so last time I relapsed, my girlfriend got out of jail, and she wasn't supposed to be staying with me, and she was. And she was in and out of jail constantly after that because she was on probation and she was flunking piss tests, things like that. So he put her in jail for a weekend, things like that. And so I started like my growth process went from like here, like where I was on a steady trajectory, to like leveling off then because I couldn't really
Right.
dive in. And then like the things I would normally do to grow spiritually, she was kind of insecure about what I was doing.
Right.
So she thought I was going to like church things like that to learn about my faith. Because I dropped out of catechism in like the second, third grade. So there was a lot of stuff I didn't understand, you know, because after first communion I kind of dropped out. So there's a lot of stuff going on at the mass that I had no clue what it meant, and I wanted to learn, and I wanted to learn about the Bible, doing like Bible studies. I wanted to learn about stuff like that, you know,
Mhm.
and And I wanted to get everybody's perspective, not just one faith. I wanted to learn from like all different kinds of people and dive in. So those things like that I normally do, she was insecure and thinking I was doing it just so I could meet other women or something. And
Right, of course.
so yeah, seriously. So this is like what I was dealing with. And so my growth like kind of stopped. And the things I need to be doing, I stopped doing, to appease her and make her happy. So to avoid
Mm.
conflict. Um, but she ended up going back to jail again, and I relapsed. And she ended up coming back that weekend, and I was a mess. Well, we ended up fighting and everything because she ended up relapsing again, and it was just a whole explosion. But we ended up breaking up, and I was doing good. Like I had just finished up my first year back, our first quarterback at college, made the dean's list, everything. And it was just like that explosion right there happened with her, and
Mhm.
I only had like a 2 week thing off before summer quarter classes started. I'm like, oh man. And I was just a mess. Well, that first week back to school, I find out my best friend had diagnosed with had stage 4 brain cancer. Wasn't given that long to live, They said maybe 6 months to a year.
Hmm.
Like from there, I went back, like made it a couple days, and then started using meth again. And
Jeez.
and then dealing
Man.
with what I was dealing with, it was just the breakup with her, losing her, knowing that me and her weren't going to be together. Then find out my best friend, was done and like wasn't going to be around anymore. I mean, it hurt. I mean, so like then and there, I felt the attacks on me like big
Mhm.
time. Like, and I could hear like forces talking to me during this
Wow.
time. So this relapse happened like I think I relapsed for what, 2 months? There's a 2 month
Dang,
relapse,
dude.
something like that,
Wow.
like of using meth, and I could hear things like trying to fight for my soul. Tell you, like everybody was saying, "Oh, you're just going through a lot and just dealing with the pain,"
Wow.
but I explained it to people like I felt like there was a fight for my soul going on, like my soul was being ripped apart during that time. I
Oof.
could hear things talking to me, events, and I'm methed out and wide awake, and I could hear things talking to me, like voices,
Jeez.
and then like images playing in my head of past events. So like things are going to
Mm.
come after me. It's like I wouldn't wish what I was doing on anybody in the world. Like that pain I felt. I was like I wouldn't wish what I was going through on my worst enemy. So like one story I like to tell people is I remember going to my mom's house and I was all messed up and I was just sitting there. I could hear like angels singing, you know,
Hmm.
like angels singing like a like angels, like a very beautiful thing singing, like I know what it was, but I also had this other thing in the pit of my stomach telling me, "Hey, you need to just kill yourself. You're no good."
Oh, wow.
Like
She
events playing in my head too that like showed me how unworthy I was. I mean, it was bad. I mean, I came probably this close to killing myself. I mean, I wanted to end
Jeez.
everything. It was that bad. Like I just tell people I wouldn't wish what I was going through on my worst enemy. That pain and suffering and just the mental stuff I was going through. Like, and in that time I kind of realized, hey, there was three choices. I either get clean, I go to prison, or I'm dead. And it most likely was going to be I get clean or I die.
Right.
Those were my choices, pretty much get clean or die. I mean, that's kind of where I was at. And it I chose to go to the Lord. I mean, like, and he led me places. It was not an easy process. So what I tried to do before didn't work this time.
Right.
He had a whole nother plan for me that was better than the last one we did. One that had sustainable success. One that he knew
Yeah.
would actually work, you know? And I mean, he put me around different people than what I was around before because the people at the recovery meetings, they want nothing to do with me. When I relapsed and had that fight with my ex-girlfriend, I mean, they wanted nothing to do with me. Like pretty much told everybody I was a piece of crap, that I would never get
Hmm.
clean, nothing. That that why was I even trying, that I should just stay away. And I was just looking at things like, how can you tell me that I can't get clean, but these people over here can? Like, who are you to
Right.
say I can't do something, that athlete in me, that chip on the shoulder, like, hey, how you gonna tell me I can't do something, but these guys can? I know if you put me and them next to each other, who's going to come out on top in everything we do, not me being arrogant, it comes to this cocky and stuff, but it's like that competitor in me, like, let's go compete. Let's go compete to
Well,
see who can do what. Like I know I'll put money on me every time because that's just the belief I have. So that kind of gave
yeah.
me that fire too. That when things got really, really tough, that I played those voices in my head for fuel, like, "Hey, you can't do it. You can't do it. You can't do it. You're never gonna amount to anything." Same things I've heard my entire life was like, "Yeah, keep doubting."
Why do you think, why do you think God saved you? It's evident. It's evident he did more than once. Why?
I don't I know I'm supposed to help people, so I don't, and it's crazy because he saved me for a reason, I know that. Exactly what, I don't know yet. I've helped a lot of kids since then. So, like, coaching wrestling, I've helped a lot of kids, and now then started my wrestling academy. Working with kids one on one, more one on one, and during the all season, we were training pretty much all year round. Like, help kids get to college scholarships, things like that, and just helping them open doors up. And mostly doing it because, hey, I told people when I went back to coaching, when people were asking me if I'd come back, and I was like, after when I was struggling with all that addiction after my dad died, I took a year off and ended up coming back. People were asking like, "Hey, are like, would you come back?" And I was like, "I'd only do it to help save souls." And so now I do mindset training with kids, like working like one-on-one, like the sports psychology of things, helping them train their minds to get past through stuff, things like that. But like, I know I'm supposed to help a lot of people, but exactly what he wants from me, he hasn't revealed everything to me yet. I'm just kind of following where I feel like I'm led. But I know he saved me because I got stories of when I was in Columbus. Like, I was driving down the highway one time and on a busy highway, and I spun out of control, going around a curve. I did a complete 180 whew, on the
Right.
highway, and I had time to turn my car around, get in the slow lane, and pull over before any cars passed me. And this is a busy highway,
Yeah.
like at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when it's
Right.
busy,
Right.
when it's usually around rush hour traffic.
Right.
And like I had a lot of these moments and stuff where like eventually God showed me like he saved me.
Mhm.
Like he saved me. Like not just to get my life clean, but at other times where I was supposed to be taken out. The enemy meant for me to be taken out, you know?
Yeah.
So it was, I don't know, like, I know, I feel like I know what I'm supposed to do, but we'll see. God has plans for me, and I know that everything will be revealed in due time. I do know that.
Yeah. Yeah. I know if I can share a little bit with you, I think a lot of people, man, when they finally come to recognize that God has saved them, we just I don't know why, and I've done it. I did it for many years, man, thinking that I was supposed to do X, right? I was supposed to do this, and now, bro, like I gotta be honest with you, man. I gotta thank you for this conversation because there's been a few things that have come out of it, at least that have helped me personally. But the last one being that I'm hearing to tell you, like, what if you were saved just to share your testimony? Would that be enough? Right? What if, because really and truly, we can do what we want with what we're supposed to do, but God tells us what we're supposed to do. He tells us it's very simple. It's the Great Commission. That's it. That's what we're here for. In the grand scheme of life, in the grand scheme of all this work and jobs and business and all the distractions, that's why we're here. You know what I mean? And I fear that for me, I know it was for me for sure. If I had realized that years ago, it wouldn't be enough. I just realized that, we have these grand, expectations that we can fabricate in our own minds, right? God saved me to do this, something huge. Well, if your testimony brings somebody to him, that's huge. You know what I'm saying? In the eyes of the world, saving one person, they could care less, right? Because of you're not doing this, you're not doing that. Well, so what? You know what I mean? So I would just encourage you. Yeah, I think you have the right mindset, bro. Like keep in prayer, keep talking to him, reveal to me what you will whenever the time is right in his time. Absolutely. You're dead on, bro. Dead on. But be prepared. It might not be this grandiose venture that we might be putting in our own heads, you know, for what that's worth. I mean, the next person you leave your house right now after doing this show, and then you go down the street to the sandwich shop or whatever, and you start talking to somebody, and you feel this nudge internally to tell them, and you tell them, and you plant the seed. You may never know if that guy comes to Christ or not. You may never know that, and you have to be okay with that. But doing what you were told to do in the moment, that could be your job. That could be what I mean, that's what we're supposed to do. So, and again, bro, I'm not saying this to you as someone who does not know it and does not feel the same, because I mean, I was doing this startup thing for a while. I was convinced that if I could just get it going, I would just help so many people and there would be millions of users and blah, blah, blah. And the thing failed. I never could get it off the ground after 13 years. I mean, you talk about like a letdown, bro. You know what I mean? but it's okay. I really have no ill will towards it, or I have no ill will towards God. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's totally cool. I get it. I understand now. I don't know why. I'm in the same boat as you. You know what I'm saying? But I just feel like maybe I'm talking to myself here. I don't know, but I just feel like that I've had to grow and get to a place where it's okay if my purpose is just to do what I'm led to do in the moment. And if other things come, great, let him use it. But I just felt led to share that with you. So that said, bro, man, I I want to thank you again for your sharing your testimony here, sharing your story here. Um, it's a rocky road, bro. And man, I know there's a lot of people out there that relapse numerous times before they finally either actually get to where you are or end up in the ground. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad that you're here. Um, I'm really glad that you were able to recognize things that you were able to recognize and turn your life around, bro. I'm really glad that you're here. So, and I hope God blesses you that to no end.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Um, Last thing before we go, I mean, is there y- you know, you know as well as I do, man, with the introduction of fentanyl and all this other stuff that's poured into the country over the last however many years, like I know there are people and God willing, God will bring this or you to some of those people. Um, I know that they is there one thing you could share with people to help them prevent going down the same road?
To prevent the road I went down, I mean,
Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, to just if someone's going through something tough, they had a death in the family, or they're whatever, any of those fill in the blank things that send us over the edge. If they're in that right now, I mean, I mean, is there anything you can say to them that would say, "Hey, go the other way"? How would they do that?
I would just recommend, like, if you're really going through, like, in that spot where you don't wanna be where you're at anymore, and you're in that state, like, what I've always heard, like, you have, like before you even have a strategy, you need to change your story, but you gotta get in the right state of mind and the right state where the pain you've been through, and, like, the state where you don't wanna be where you're at anymore, that you just gotta get out of that. Get out of that state and go change your story by going to God. I mean, that was a lot of the people I've
Yeah.
tried to help now, they can't get past the God thing. Like, God loves you.
Mm,
Go to Him. Go to Him.
right.
Just pray to Him. I mean, you won't probably see immediate results, but go to Him. Ask Him to, like, just say, beg you and urge you. Ask for Him to reveal Himself to you. Just
Yeah,
open your
man.
heart
That's
and
what
say,
prob
God,
yeah.
reveal yourself to me. Show me that you are real.
That's right.
I mean, that would go a lot further. And then, like, let Him show you how real He is. Because I can tell you, no one thought I was gonna be I'm where I am now, that I'm
Mhm.
clean, sober. My life's not perfect in by any means. I'm struggling to get what I wanna do off the ground too, like, just like you are. I mean, but I can tell you, I'm not using drugs. I'm not out drinking and partying. I'm not out getting in any trouble anymore. Like, I'm a pretty much an upstanding citizen who, helps people, man, and that's all I try to do is help
Mm,
people. And no
mhm.
one thought I'd be here, at least of all my mom who was like, "He's back in church, that crazy guy?" Like, you know?
Yeah.
So if I can do it and God can do it for me, He can do it for you too. Because I'm
Yeah.
no saint by any means or claim to be one. Hopefully one day I get to become one, but that'll be a different story. But have God reveal Himself to you and ask Him to reveal Himself and let Him him show you how real he is, and go to him. I mean, if
Yes.
you ever need any help, someone to talk to, reach out. Reach out to me on Facebook Messenger. I mean, I'll I'll talk you through stuff, give you some strategies to getting cleaned that I used,
Yeah.
that God led me down, like a lot of stuff with the spiritual warfare stuff, things like that. I
Yep.
mean, learn how to fight.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true, man. That is true. Like, and in that moment, set your pride aside. Set your pride aside. Especially if you don't believe, even if you don't believe in that there is a God or that Jesus is real, all that good stuff, man. If you don't believe, fine. It should be easier for you to put your pride aside and ask and seek Him. That's what I think.
I know He's revealed Himself to me quite a few times, like when I didn't feel like I had enough motivation to make it through the day and I was struggling with stuff, especially when I was first getting clean, like, hey, show me that what you're wanting me to do here is real. Like I scared, like feeling like he's called me to do something. Like, hey, I don't feel like I know I can't do this, And if this is what you want me to do, give me a sign. He'll send people or send signs, and like, oh my god, and it's crazy once you start diving in and, and becoming more spiritually attuned to everything and hear him kind of talking to you, like, and how he's communicating with you. It's kind of scary at times.
Yeah, it can freak you out for sure. It can. But yeah, man, that's what I say. Set your pride aside and seek Him with your heart. And if you're authentic about it, you genuinely want the help, He'll be there. So, Ryan, thank you very much, brother, for the time again. I appreciate it, and I hope that this episode will be a catalyst for people to change their lives for the better, man. I really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you for having me.